Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Exploring the Business Value of Innovating with SAP HANA. I'm Claire Villanueva, and before we begin, I'd just like to make a few brief housekeeping announcements. This webinar will be recorded and be available on our on-demand console after the presentation. Today's event will be interactive, so please disable any pop-up blockers you may have installed. They can interfere with certain aspects of our web conference. For an enhanced view of our presentation, please click the enlarged slides that you'll see located in the gray bar above the side window. To download a PDF of the slide presentation, just click the green folder icon that's located at the bottom of your console. And you may ask a question at any time throughout the presentation, but to submit yours, please click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen and type it into the question box area that appears, and then hit the submit button. Today, our speakers are Carl Olofsson, Research Vice President of Data Management Software at IDC. Carl has performed research and analysis for IDC since 1997 and manages IDC's database management software service. And our second speaker is Marie Goodell, Vice President of Product Marketing for the SAP HANA platform at SAP. In this role, she manages a dynamic team responsible for communicating the business value of SAP's revolutionary in-memory data platform designed for real-time analytics and applications. With that, I'll hand the presentation over to Carl, and we'll begin.
Okay, thanks. And welcome to all our friends in Europe, where it's, I hope, a pleasant afternoon, and speaking to you from California, where the morning is, the dawn is just now breaking. So. Today I will be speaking on the topic of customer innovation with SAP HANA, which is based on a research study that we did on behalf of SAP. Just a few words about my background before we get going. I have been in the IT industry since 1978. I was a programmer consultant for a few years. I've been a software developer for a major database company. For about 8 years. I was also a software product manager prior to becoming an industry analyst, and I've been an industry analyst with IDC for 20 years, covering the database and database-related software markets. So today's talk is going to be about customer innovation with SAP HANA. I'm going to speak to you first about the challenges involved in data management and the digital, what we call the digital transformation, the move to the third platform of computing and incorporating systems of engagement and incorporating live transactional data into decision making in the moment. And then I will be speaking of the experiences of the SAP HANA customers that we interviewed and studied to reflect how they have been addressing those challenges. And I can't advance the slide. Okay, okay, someone's going to have to advance the slide for me because the button isn't working. Well, now it's on. So what does IDC mean by digital transformation? We have been talking about this for a couple of years now, and the concept involves the application of what we call third platform-related technologies to fundamentally improve all aspects of society, which in the context of business means being able to transform your business. This is really about not just automating existing processes and practices, but coming up with fundamentally new ways of looking at those processes, altering them not just for efficiency, but in a creative way, so that you can do your job in a way that enables you to reach more markets, more effectively reach the market that you're in, more effectively engage with customers, and ultimately, of course, do more business. This also means having relevant information available immediately for decision making, so not waiting a day or two or more for the data that you need to analyze in order to make critical business decisions. And it means applying technology to that process. So it's not just decision-making based on reports that you've generated or been distributed or something like that, but it involves actually engaging technology as a driver of those decisions, and in some cases as the vehicle for carrying out those decisions and even making those decisions through, not just through algorithmic decision-making, but also through machine learning. Okay, so I've been talking about the third platform. Let's just take a step back and talk and discuss what is the third platform. It involves reimagining business processes. It involves interconnecting systems of record, engagement, analytics, and insight. It involves leveraging large dynamic data collections. And it involves enabling next-generation applications with technologies that go beyond what we've used before, which includes NoSQL. So if you look at the graphic on the right-hand side, what you'll see are the fundamental elements of the third platform. And remember, this is all additive. So we're not walking away from what we've been using. If you consider that the first platform was a mechanism for automating internal business activities such as accounting and so forth, and if you consider that we've done that kind of automation through, we did that kind of automation through batch processes. We did that through applications that highly trained individuals had to learn how to use. That enabled us to greatly improve the efficiency of business. It didn't really change the way we did business. It just enabled us to do some things faster. Then with the second platform, we opened up those systems. Those are still systems of record, what we call systems of record. We opened up those systems of record so they're accessible to more people. You no longer needed highly trained individuals because you could access the data through a graphical user interface. It was available on a PC platform through a local area networks, and in the latter days of the second platform through a web interface on a browser. And this meant that a wide range of employees and a limited amount of functionality exposed to customers started to become part of the picture. And at the same time, we now had the freedom to collect data and build things, decision platforms driven by data warehouses. So we had systems of decision. So now we have systems of record and systems of decision. And now we come to the third platform. And as you can see from the graphic, this involves mobility, social technology. It includes big data and analytics from big data. It includes embracing the cloud. These things give us a tremendous range in terms of resources, things that we can marshal to the task. It gives us economies of scale. It gives us the ability to interact with customers, and it gives our employees the ability to interact with the system in a highly, actually intimate way and very detailed way, accessing real-time data as you need it in order to make business decisions, take action, in order to engage customers and have customers choose to work with you, and of course, buy your products and services. And we do this, and to do things like enabling better manufacturing, better interaction with systems on the edge, better services that we can offer through various kinds of controls and monitors and so forth. And we do this through robotics and natural interfaces, 3D printing, Internet of Things, and cognitive systems, all governed by next-gen security. So this is what the digital transformation is all about. I know this all sounds rather sort of high-flowing, but these things all together represent what we call the systems of engagement. So what this enables us to do is we can transform the way we do leadership. We can do leadership in a more collaborative fashion. We can do leadership in a more dynamic fashion. We can be present everywhere. Omni experience transformation is basically what that means. We can be present everywhere. We can transform information. We can unlock information from documents and make it available for decision making and for machine learning. We can unlock data from various other sources like computer logs, other machine-generated data from sensors and so forth, and make that available for decision making. We have an operational model transformation. We're looking at moving, things like moving to the cloud, which give us great flexibility so that we can use just the resources we need when we need them. We're not locked down to a fixed configuration. And work source transformation, so that we can dynamically blend people in different forms. The idea of being locked into specific office locations and a specific organizational hierarchy these are things that we can move beyond thanks to the digital transformation. So there are 3 areas of innovation involved in the digital transformation, and I'm not going to get into detail about all of them. I'm just putting them up here as a means of illustrating the point. Excuse me. We have operational innovation, where we're making our operations not only more efficient, as I said, but more dynamic, so that we can change the way our business operations work to fit our business requirements. Monetization, we can achieve greater monetization at multiple points because we can engage. It's no longer a customer walks into a store, buys something, walks away, and that's it. We now have a continuous relationship with our customers. We can give them a richer experience, and of course, that richer experience should translate into greater monetization of the interaction, which is to say more income. And through relationship, we can build better relationships through product innovation, so that we can maintain those relationships with customers, with partners. We can maintain a better employee network of relationships, which leads to more productivity and so forth. So one of the challenges that we've always had in this regard is the great divide, as I call it, between transactional data and analytic data. So we've always put transaction data in a database that has a design that is specific to transactions. And then we put analytics. What we would do is we would take out from those transactional databases, each of which is performing a specific business function. We'd take out select data from those and concentrate them in an analytic database where we do all our query and reporting. Now, the reason we have done this in the past, and I'm sure most of you already know this, so I'm telling you what you already know, but the reason we would do this is because the transactional database can't, we want to make sure that the transactional performance is steady, and we don't want it to be interfered with by complex queries and that sort of thing. The transactional databases are designed specifically for the purpose of optimizing transaction performance and transaction throughput. The analytic database is designed to give us the maximum number of possible ways that we can ask questions and the maximum number of questions that we can ask. So they have lots of foreign key relationships. They have lots of tables that are related in various ways so that we can do that. The problem here is that when we do things that way, we can't make decisions in real time. Now, at IDC, we have established this model, which you see on the screen before you, that represents what we call the range of decision management issues and the kinds of decisions that people take, which range from the strategic through the operational to the tactical. So the strategic decision is one that requires really lots and lots of data, but it requires a few people. They're looking at lots of historical data that goes well into the past, such as trend data and so forth, so that they can make decisions about the future direction of the company and which products should we support, which ones should we drop, what are our expectations over the next 1, 2, 3 years, and so on and so forth. That's, of course, an important area of decision making. We use large enterprise data warehouses for this. That kind of activity will, of course, continue. Then we have operational decisions. This is where we're taking stock. This is usually a line of business function, taking stock of where we're at, making decisions. We look at how we did yesterday or last week, and we're making decisions about how we're going to manage things tomorrow and next week. So we're looking at things like inventory levels and is our pricing right and that kind of stuff. That kind of activity is still important. That will continue into the future. Both of those are supported reasonably well in the in the divided model that I just described, where we extract data from transactional databases and move them into decision databases. But then we get to the tactical, and the tactical is the part where we need not a ton of data, but we do need live data, and we need to be able to query it in the moment, because we're making decisions in the moment. Now I'm making a decision with my, metaphorically speaking, with my customer standing right in front of me. I want to be able to pull up, information about what the customer has been looking for today, right now, compare the pattern of inquiry with previous patterns of inquiry from that customer, from other customers, and get recommendations as to what to offer this customer in order to, enhance the customer's buying experience and obviously to enhance the selling experience for me. So those kinds of decisions need to be made in the moment. If I'm a logistics company and I'm scheduling trucks and I'm looking at traffic data and I'm looking at transactional data regarding packages that are to be dropped off and picked up and optimizing the movements of my trucks to the best possible advantage. I need real live data for that. Okay. Now, in the past, that was not possible because the transaction data was in its own database and you couldn't really query it that well. So the problem is that we have two separate databases, and the data integration process is usually through some kind of ETL or extract, transform, and load operation, typically in batch, and typically an overnight job for the simple reason that multiple databases as inputs to be merged, with their data to be transformed and merged and loaded into a data warehouse, and there's too much processing power to run during the day. So it would be typically run as an overnight operation, the data put into a data warehouse, and then we would make our decisions off of that. And that's problematic because that means that I can't do those tactical decisions. I can't make those tactical decisions based on live data. I just have to operate on guesses and hunches and my own personal knowledge of what's going on, and that's it. So if we want to be a real-time enterprise, we need to be able to dynamically respond or to respond dynamically to business requirements. We need to be able to act on events as they happen. We need to be able to make quick adjustments to how we do things based on the shifting business needs, which we detect by continually monitoring a great many data sources. And those data sources come from a variety of places, and many of them are unstructured, so they need to be curated and so forth. So that brings various big data technologies into play. At the same time, we need to be able to make that data as quickly as we can available for live in the moment decisioning. So we need speed and flexibility and the agility to be able to make those decisions baked into the systems. Not only that, but we need to have an agile application development process that enables applications to be changed as needed to address the needs of our shifting business requirements. So to summarize the three systems of record, systems of decision, systems of engagement, innovation for digital transformation involves, that sort of process of maturation and I would say integration of these three levels of decision. In other words, The prior platforms don't go away. The prior systems don't go away. I mean, I know some of you are probably going to move off the mainframe, but conceptually, what it does doesn't go away. And so, what that means is that we need to have an environment in which we can bring data from these systems together, and not just bring it together, but bring it together in a way that enables us to do high-volume transaction processing and complex query at the same time. So this chart illustrates the analytic transaction data platform. It's based on a concept that we've been working on at IDC called analytic transaction processing, or ATP. And the ATP concept is one in which you have a database and an application, actually, that perform analytics on live data and that perform transactions on the same data at the same time. And if you want to build a platform on that foundation, what you need to be able to do is incorporate data from multiple sources, as I've said before, and ensure that the data is current and consistent. So there is, there's a data management and data integration reconciliation element to that. And you also need to rethink your application. So now, instead of having just one set of applications that do transactions and another set that do analytics, you want to be able to build analytics into the transactional applications so that the applications can modify their behavior based on the results of the analytic queries that they are doing. And that creates smart applications which are adaptable and can be used in a variety of contexts and can embrace things like machine learning and so forth, so that they can be making algorithmic decisions, but they could also be making decisions based on machine learning activities. So in order to do all that, you need a robust platform. SAP has presented HANA, the HANA platform, as such a platform. And so we did a study with them in order to determine the extent to which their more successful customers have been using SAP HANA for the purposes that I've described, and to determine what kinds of benefits they realized by doing this. And so this chart summarizes what was involved in doing that study in terms of the background and methodology. Okay, so the firmographics, who were we talking to? We talked to 10 organizations, and they, they range from very small to very large. So they range from 140 employees to over 100,000. Their IT staff range from 7 to 6,500. They had on the low end, 140 IT users, which seems probably in that case to have also been the number of employees, so everybody's using IT, I guess, to 95,000. And they had a number of business applications, from 3 on the low end to over 1,000 on the high end. And you can see the averages down the left-hand column. The countries in which they were located included the United States, Mexico, France, Germany, and China. And as you can see, a range of industries, chemical, consumer electronics, construction, energy, pharmaceuticals, retail, risk management, technology, and transportation. So a variety of things. Now, how did they benefit from their adoption of HANA? These are findings from the interviews that we did. We interviewed these 10 customers, collecting both quantitative data about their results, what the costs were, initial costs, the ongoing operational costs, what the business benefits were in terms of their realization of increased commercial activity and so forth. We also asked qualitative questions as to how they saw the products benefiting them. And we put all that together, and these are some of the findings that we came away with. We saw that they transformed their use of data and analytics. so that they could support business operations better, and they changed how employees engage with customers and produced substantial operational efficiencies. They're serving their customers better, and that leads to significant revenue increases. What we find is that one of the effects of being involved in continuous customer engagement is that customers end up buying more stuff from you, which is obviously a goal. They leveraged improved analytics to make the application developers more efficient, and the data consolidation that they're able to achieve meant that they spent less staff time managing their big data environment, so overall greater efficiency in data management. And they were able to set up a number of facilities within their organization, within IT, to provide self-service so that you didn't have the normal operational delays of, well, we need to set up an environment in order to do testing of this new function, and we have to wait a week or two for someone to be assigned to set that up and to find the resources that we need. No, it's more dynamic than that. And based on all of these things, IDC and all the quantitative data that we were collecting, we determined that these organizations overall will achieve an annual benefit of $70,516 per 100 years over 5 years. That averages out to $18.07 million per organization, which, of course, is, since the organization sizes range greatly, isn't that meaningful, but the per 100 users number is significant. And overall, we found that they would achieve a 5-year ROI of 567%. That's all in. So that includes the benefits of efficiency plus the benefits of greater customer engagement and greater business activity. So I want to show you some quotes. This one is all about, this is from someone who said, yes, we considered HANA to be a big investment, but it enabled us to transform the way we perform our core functions, and we don't think we could do that in a financially feasible way without HANA. So another one, excuse me, the customer in this case is saying that they have achieved a level of detail in their reporting that makes it possible for them to make better, more precise decisions in real time at a level that they never previously thought would be possible. And as you can tell, my throat's a little froggy, so if you'll excuse me a moment. Okay, that's better. So as you can see from these quotes, people are already realizing benefits that they can describe and ascribe to the technology that is tangible. These benefits are not theoretical, and they're not based on simply operational efficiency, but they're based on real business experience. What else do we have? We have one source, one tool to see how we're doing. So now the situation is simpler, and their executives can see at a glance where the enterprise stands. So examples of innovation that we encountered as a result include the use of pattern recognition to detect fraud, the use of predictive analysis to achieve more agile business processes, using geospatial data to optimize operational movement, enabling team members to collaborate, and incorporating data from the Internet of Things, which is a huge new area that is going to be incorporated into a lot of business processes for many different kinds of businesses in various industries in the future. So here's another customer who says that now with HANA they have a single source of truth for sales. Of course, we talk all the time about single sources of truth and master data management and so forth, but the concept is not meaningful if you can't deliver that single source of truth in a timely manner. And what this customer is saying that now we can. So now everybody can look at the current state of play with respect to our customers and with respect to sales, and have an up-to-the-minute accurate view, which makes us smarter, and it improves our ability to predict sales and manage the sales pipeline and so forth. We also hear from this customer that the geospatial capabilities have a direct impact on their ability to make better decisions to optimize their operations without moving a lot of data around. In other words, from a specialized geospatial supporting database to a transactional one, they're able to do this all on the HANA platform. And another customer who really likes the self-service analytic aspect of the environment. Now end users don't have to have a ton of understanding and expertise in order to do some fairly interesting business analytics based on the data that's in HANA, because it's an environment that makes it easier for them to do that. So the tangible benefits, what are we talking about here at the end of the day? We're looking at benefits that are in that are pretty extraordinary. The main takeaway from this chart, and I want to remind you that because we're dealing with a range of sizes of organizations, the annual benefit, the hard numbers for the annual benefit are less significant than the ratios here. And by that, what I mean is, you look at that really thin sliver that says IT structure cost reductions. I mean, that alone, that's kind of when people move up to a new class of database technology. That's the level of benefit that you normally get, and that's normally what we would find when we would do these kinds of analyses. Is that level plus the IT staff productivity? Those are typical. Those are normal. Okay, but then we get this other huge chunk which says business productivity benefits. This was the part that made us sit up and take notice, because really what we're saying here is that the benefit of SAP HANA is that it makes your business smarter, more responsive. People are doing more business. They're keeping customers engaged. They're making their salespeople smarter. And because they make their operations smarter, and I don't just mean IT operations, I mean business operations, they're able to do more business, and that results in the number that you see on the left-hand side. So that's the real takeaway from this slide, is that kind of result we just wouldn't see in prior studies of ROI studies of databases. And we've been doing this for a long time, so believe me, we've got a lot of studies under our belt, and this is by far the most significant from a business productivity benefit standpoint. Okay, so what are we talking about here? We're looking at the most significant part here is the total additional revenue per year, and the assumed operating margin. The total annual revenue and the improvement in the operating margin that are the significant factors here. Yes, we also have a 40% productivity gain, which is great. Okay, we have lots of users who are impacted in a positive way. We have equivalent productivity gains of 274,428 hours per organization. Again, the actual numbers less significant than the sort of ranges and scales, and operational cost reductions. But it's really the business impact, the first set of numbers, that is so impressive, because that really means that these customers are actively engaged in the digital transformation. And here we see the 5-year ROI analysis. Again, putting all the numbers together, the results per organization are pretty impressive. So in conclusion, I would just offer that the move to digital transformation requires a rethinking of the technology. We need to rethink the way we organize data. You know, the old classic model of isolated, relational databases and moving data around doesn't work anymore. And just trying to retrofit that environment with a few additions, like putting in a Hadoop or doing some systems of engagement with NoSQL databases but without proper integration, that's not going to work. You need to rethink the technology and the way you're using technology. We need to integrate data from many sources in order to achieve real-time analysis, and I hate using that term real-time personally, but in this case it makes sense because we're talking about data that is live in the moment. We need to be able to leverage that data as we are taking action. We need applications to be smart, which means that they are capable of making decisions themselves and modifying their behavior based on real-time data through analytic queries. And SAP HANA users have been able to do a lot of this stuff, and they've been able to leverage a wide range of data with speed and flexibility. My recommendations to you would be to consider the extent to which your organization may be hampered by the separation of data into the sort of transactional and analytic buckets, and the extent to which it is siloed in those buckets. Then assess your future needs and consider how you can bring all your data assets together, not only with each other, but with the new data sources and the new systems of engagement that you are or plan to develop. That may involve new technologies. How do you bring all that together and leverage it together so that you can make the best decisions possible, so you can make your enterprise as operationally efficient as possible and as flexible in terms of engaging business opportunities. And then to that extent, to the extent that you're looking at that and you're considering technologies for that, we don't endorse any one technology and say you must use this, but I would say that on your list of products that you consider as a foundational technology for doing these things, you should consider SAP HANA. Okay, and that's my presentation for today. I'm going to hand things over to Marie, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about how SAP HANA is set up to achieve these objectives.
Thanks so much, Carl, and hello to everyone who's on the call today. A little heads up on the overview. What I'm going to do is just highlight some of the SAP HANA key new features that are coming out, and then I'm going to walk through some use cases in your region where people have begun to use innovation. And then we will end with opportunities for question and answers. So if you have questions that you would like to present for Carl or for me afterwards, please take some time to enter it into the chat, and we will be having a fair amount of time in the end to try to answer your questions. One other thing before I start this section, I represent the SAP HANA platform, and that is the database environment. While we have many applications that run on top of HANA, such as S4 HANA or BW HANA, I am not an expert in that area. So if you do have questions related to that area, we'll take them, but we may need to respond to you after the webinar, following up with some of our colleagues who are experts in that area. So with that, what I'd like to highlight is a little bit of where we are moving forward with the SAP HANA platform. What we have really noticed with the customers that are using SAP HANA is that more and more, starting in this circle that you see to the left, is that data is driving a lot of the business decisions. Carl has done a wonderful job understanding and describing the differences between databases that are separating transactions and analytics, and how HANA brings those two worlds together in one separate platform. Yet we also, and that's terrific, many advantages just in that itself. The separation, bringing them together is that live information, analysis on live information, as well as the simplification of IT by reducing multiple data sets and data copy and data movement. But the other aspect that we see of our customers is that there's really proliferation of new types of data, whether that is documents and text and sentiment intelligence coming from social media and web blogs, or whether that's the ability to see location data. Most of us have mobile devices today, and I suspect all of us use the GPS feature quite frequently, whether it's to find out where we're going or where our favorite restaurant is. And we're seeing that same desire for location-based information coming into our business applications, whether that's tracking the delivery of goods, determining how to move from one inventory to another. Location data is becoming essential in our business applications as well. We have a desire to see relationships between people and things, to see how they influence it. I am very involved in yoga, and when I'm on my Facebook page, I now see ads coming to me very specific about yoga clothing or yoga seminars, and it knows this because of the relationships I have with other people on Facebook, where I might describe going to an event or communicating with my friends about this. And so this relationships allows Facebook and advertisers to start showing yoga clothing and things to me because of the relationships I have. This is done through graph data and graph databases, and we can take that type of information in as well. And also in our environments, we see things such as IoT data, many of the things in manufacturing, or again in delivery methods, or even in hospital situations where we want to track where machines are moving around. This is very important to be able to take this streaming data and put it in. One of the things that's really unique about SAP HANA is that not only do we take that traditional transactional data from applications, but we take all of these different types of data and move it. The next thing that we do then around the insight is to start looking and analyzing these different types of data by using the multi-engines that are within SAP. So again, you don't have to go to a special graph database or a special spatial database. You can start analyzing these all together. And then building on top of that, in particular with predictive analytics and machine learning, to start to discover patterns. And these patterns can either show obstacles that you may need to avoid or opportunities where you could make a huge difference. And this is where that insight, you take the data that's raw and change it into real insight. And finally, what we encourage is to deliver this out through action, building out unique applications or extending existing applications to deliver this insight-driven data so that your users can respond immediately in the moment to solve an issue or problem, all done on a unified platform. So the elements within SAP HANA that allow this to happen is, of course, the underlying database management system, that in-memory database that is doing the data, that has connections to all different types of data with built-in data integration. So if you want to actually extract data from a different source and bring it into the database, you can do that. But we also have data virtualization techniques where you send the query to where the data is located. This allows you to have data, for example, in Hadoop or Spark, where you don't want to move these large volumes of unknown data into the in-memory database. Rather, you send the query to where the data is located, find the relevant information, and only bringing back that which is necessary for your business analysis. So that's that underlying database. In addition with the database is that we allow only the hot data, the one that's most important, to remain in memory. And we have automated systems to help you distribute it and move that across multiple storage so that you can put data that has not been touched for a really long time into lower cost storage so that you're more effectively managing the physical environment of your data. And then built into HANA, which is very unique to our environment, are these advanced analytical processing engines so that you're looking at beyond structured and textual data and being able to look at all the new types of data that come out there, including text, streaming, series, graph, machine data, and adding a layer of machine learning and predictive analytics on top of that. And then we provide an application development environment on top of that so that you can simply build out insight-driven applications that can be deployed on-premise, to the cloud, or even into smaller devices. And within SAP HANA 2, we've added many new capabilities across all environments. In the database management environment, we continue to add capabilities for our high availability and disaster recovery, such as the ability to have active databases. If one database should go down, automatically moving to the other, advanced security, and so on. We continue to add new sources within data integration and quality so you can connect existing databases and data sources, as well as new types such as document stores and the Hadoop environment as it continues to explode. We are adding more and more availabilities for machine learning to automate your analysis so that as you continue to analyze the data, we start to see those patterns and we add the patterns in, so that's improving the analysis. And with application development, new languages, so you can bring your own language if you're comfortable with new languages that you want to develop with. You can come and bring those languages and still build off the HANA platform. So all of these features continue to be adding into the new platform. So what are the few use cases? One of them is Munich Re, which is a reinsurance company that is using HANA to assess risk. And I'm going to have a slide for each of one of these. The second customer I'll highlight is the city of Cape Town, who is actually improving safety across the city while also reducing costs by integrating 6 different agencies using the SAP HANA platform. And the last is the National Center for Tumor Disease in Heidelberg, which is improving patient care. So let's look at these real quickly across these different use cases. Munich Re is a reinsurance company, and what they do is they help their clients assess risk, and that impacts the amount of insurance that those companies will have. And one of the things that they started to do is to take advantage of very unique capabilities within HANA to so do some very sophisticated analysis. Working also in addition with the European Space Agency, the European Space Agency has a lot of satellite data. Satellite data allows you to look at the Earth in a very different way, not just as from a map, but in layers of the Earth. So if you look in this picture, you see some are lighter and darker. And this shows things like the forestation, or whether it's just plain land. It can show things such as how much water is in the land. It can also show fissures or breaking of pieces. And by knowing what's in the underlying aspects of the Earth, we can start to predict things such as there could be windstorms in this area, or this is very prone to flooding, and so on. So Munich Re did a project with the European Space Agency, in particular a place in Canada, where they wanted to see what the impact was for forest fires, which had been raging in Western Canada. And by looking at this new type of data, looking at weather conditions, looking at the deep layers of the Earth, they were better able to assess the potential for fire, and that allowed the Canadian province to just make assessments like how many firefighters do we need on, how do we redeploy our firefighters, and in addition, it helped them to work with the government to identify that if fires should occur, what was the emergency response that was going to happen the most quickly to prevent it and make safety for the environment that was there. So this ability to take different types of data, bring it into this system, and solve a new problem is very unique with the SAP HANA environment. Another example of this is the city of Cape Town, which has many residents and even more tourists who come to it on a regular basis. And so safety is very important to the city. There were over 7 agencies consisting of police, fire, disaster recovery, and other agencies that had all independent systems. And using SAP HANA and working with a partner of theirs, they developed an application that they called the Emergency Policing and Incident Command. And now when a call comes in from any one of the departments, it goes into a centralized data warehouse that's managed by SAP HANA. In addition, they use the spatial analysis to see where the emergency is located. So now when there's a dispatch to something that's happening, maybe the road is being blocked by a landslide, they can immediately assess and send out the alert to all agencies, so not everyone is responding, just who the priority pieces could be there, and being able to respond more quickly with the needs that have to happen, and reducing much money and resources within the city so that they can focus the additional money on other aspects like maybe beautifying the city. And the last one I wanted to highlight was the National Center for Tumor Diseases, whose goal is to take very, very large volumes of data to improve patient treatment. And what the National Center of Tumor Diseases does is they look at millions and millions of data points from thousands of data sets, including doctor records, and looking at genetical analysis of tumors. They look at diagnosis codes, possible treatments, and patient records. Using HANA, they can analyze this all in real time, so that if I'm a particular person coming in with breast cancer disease and I have a particular diagnosis, the doctor can make the best assessment very quickly by analyzing all this data and say, based on your diagnosis, your history, and all the research that's out there, this is the best drug that you can use. And so this has really optimized the care and the patient care that they have. And as they continue to get more information for their clinical trials, they keep adding it into the system. Machine learning is continuing to refine those analyses, continuing to improve care over time. So these are just some of the examples of how some of our customers are building and using this in-memory platform to provide new solutions. And one thing I want to highlight for you today is that if you are not already an SAP HANA customer, or if you are only using it in a very simple way, for example, maybe using it as a data warehouse, you can now really explore building out some of these custom and unique applications with the HANA Express Edition for free. This allows you to provide this to all of your developers, and you can get up and running, and you can deploy this solution on PCs, whether it's a laptop or a small server. It can run on Windows and Mac environments. It's also available in cloud environments. And you can get up and start using all of the functionality within the system that you're using for application development. You can then build applications and actually deploy them and use them as long as the application does not use more than 32 gigabytes of memory. This is also a terrific opportunity for you to create a proof of concept and have some users try and test it before you might go back to your ID department and have a full-fledged program put into place. Once you need more memory, you can simply expand by purchasing some memory use licenses from the SAP store all the way up to 120 gigabyte of memory, continuing to explore before having to go ahead and purchase a full use edition. So we want to make this great solution available to all of you, and we've had a really terrific response from the Express Edition. Thousands of downloads since it's first started. There's an entire community with training development and examples, so we encourage you to maybe start doing it today. And with that concludes my part of the presentations. I believe there are some questions that Reddy has been trying to answer, as well as some in the queue, so I'll turn it over, I believe, to Clara, who's taking questions and answers.
Sure. Thanks, Marie. Thank you, Carl. Right now is our time for Q&A. We only have a couple of minutes left, but please make sure that you submit your questions if you have any. So our first question goes to Carl. So Stefan from Ericsson is asking, at Ericsson we go for native HANA analytics. As we probably know, would that be in line with the real-time enterprise concept using predictive analytics going towards predictive?
Well, right. I mean, I'm not sure what using predictive analytics going towards predictive means exactly, but you're already using native HANA. You're already doing analytics in HANA, so you've already got that function there. Then the next step is to integrate the results of those predictive analytics with the operational applications that you're running in HANA at the same time. Then you're really achieving that ability of the applications to adapt to changing conditions by, in this case, using predictive analytics to chart future movement. But absolutely, this is all a step in the journey, being able to do the analytics because it's an in-memory system. You can do the analytics very quickly, and then you can, and because it's the same system, I assume that you're running some of your operational applications on. You should be able to integrate the results of those predictive analytics into the operations analytics, and then you've really got something. So I think you're on the right track there.
Great, thank you, Carl. Emery, there is one question for you. So Marvin is asking, are the companies that you use in your use cases key accounts? If yes, do you also have use cases that are applicable to the general business market segment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all of the customers I did highlight were larger customers, but we do have many use cases for more of the general business or smaller and medium-sized companies, and I will look through some of them and provide them as an answer following up the actual use cases. I'd like to highlight that many small and medium-sized businesses can start with the HANA Express Edition, but there's a step that you can use for HANA before having to go to the big, large enterprise piece, and that's called our SAP HANA Edge Edition. And the Edge Edition is helping medium-sized companies to take a little bit smaller footprint with less data at a more appropriate price point for smaller to medium-sized companies. But as many smaller and medium-sized companies are also using many of these advantages, the thing that we see the most, to be honest with you, is initially starting out in a data warehousing use case, looking at your operational data and doing analysis on that. The next step for most medium and small and medium-sized customers is to start looking at predictive analysis and looking at the future. And then we start to see them starting incorporating the text and analytics. Those are probably stepping stones that I've seen in the smaller, medium-sized use cases. So I hope that answers your question.
I would just add that we did have smaller businesses in the study, as I mentioned before. Obviously, when you look at the averages that I presented, those are much bigger than what a small business would be realizing in actual, currency terms. But from a percentage standpoint, the benefits are still there. So this isn't just a big business. Well, our finding was that this isn't just it's not just something for big businesses, but it's something for all sizes.
Thanks, Carl. And it looks like we have time for one more question. Carl, you placed a great deal of emphasis on in-memory processing in your presentation. Is that critical here? And what if you have more live current data than can fit in memory?
So the in-memory processing is critical. The core needs that because, and in fact, let me just say that the whole database world is going towards what we call in-memory or memory optimized. It's my preferred term, processing of data as opposed to architectures that are driven by storage. It is when you have a database that in which you can't fit all the data in memory that's relevant. You need to have a capability to use other things to hold the less frequently accessed data, and often that's flash. I believe that SAP HANA is set up to work that way, so that you can actually incorporate data, the most hot, what we would call the hot data in memory, and then the warm data in flash, and then of course the cold data would be in storage, other storage systems. But absolutely, the in-memory, and this is a pattern that others are following. And so I would say that this is very much in line with the direction that the whole industry is going.
Thanks, Carl. Well, that's all we have time for today. Carl and Marie, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share? Okay. As a reminder, this webinar will be a bit...
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, I hope that people come away from this with a view that what we're talking about here is not just, faster or more efficient, but it enables a different way of doing business, and that's the key message.
Sounds good. Thank you, Carl. Everyone, as a reminder, this webinar will be available on demand, and you'll receive a link in the next couple of days that can give you access to the archive. Thank you for participating in the webcast, and that'll be it. Thanks so much.